Great masters come to this earth. They are born as avatars so that they can lead a life of example and we can watch them and learn from them. As Swamiji often quotes, great masters are born not to show their greatness but to inspire us and to show us how great we can be. And similarly, Leela, the divine play by Paramhansa Yogananda, also offers a couple of incidents from his life to show us that truth invites and it never commands. The first example is when Paramhansa Yogananda he meets his guru Swami Sri Yukteswar, and it has just been 6 months, and ashram duties were too intense, and Paramhansa Yogananda thought going to Himalayas will offer him an environment where he can sit long and meditate and he can attain that God communion he is seeking for. And when he expressed his view to his Guru Yukteswar, Yukteswarji very simply said, it is better to seek realization from a man who's already self realized. Many goats live in the mountains, they are not self realized. He just utters that sentence and he keeps quiet. And again, Mukunda then asks his guru, but I would like to go and meditate long. And he just kept quiet. And he conveniently took his silence as an S. And he went, he met the sleepless saint, and after a long detour, and when the meeting happened, the sleepless saint, he explains to Paramhansa Yogananda that only his guru has the right to bestow him with samadhi, and he cannot do that. And go back to your guru and meditate at near with him, stay with him, and then he returns back. And that's the time he realizes that Swami Sri Yukteswar never arrogantly says, I say that such and such a thing will happen, nor does he ever commanded him, do not go. I mean, Paramhansa Yogananda has already given his unconditional obedience to his guru, and if guru has informed him, has commanded him, do not go, he wouldn't have gone. But he did not do that. He very invitingly, he just gave a blanket statement, and he wanted Paramhansa Yogananda to tune in to his will. And it happens again. As we all know, Paramhansa Yogananda was longing to go to Himalayas ever since the age of 12. And after meeting his guru also, he wanted to go to Himalayas. And at least thrice, the program was about to, it was almost done, but then last moment, Swami Sri Yukteswar cancelled it. So this time, he thinks, and he thought that if I already have the tickets with me, if I have already got the tickets and made the plans, perhaps Swami Sri Yukteswar will not say no this time. So he goes to his dad and tells, I need a little pocket money and I want some passes, train passes to Kashmir. And his dad, like all our dads, made friendly fun of his plan, and he said that your theoretical trip doesn't need such practical props. So this made Paramhansa Yogananda determined that he will go to Kashmir. And when he expressed this idea to Swami Sri Yukteswar again, Swami Sri Yukteswar was non-committal. He said, maybe, let's see. And he was smiling at Guru's enthusiasm. At the last moment, he said he wouldn't come. And Yogananda says like, yeah, this is the usual thing. I mean, he did the same thing again. I don't want to be laughed at from my parents and family. I will definitely go to Kashmir. and he went and he was seeking his friend, another house help, Bihari. The moment he heard this, invitation to Kashmir, who was smiling until then, the moment he heard the invitation, just walked away, closed the door, and left the house from the backyard and never came back. And the next time, again, he is going to his uncle's house to borrow his house help, and on the way he meets Swami Sri Yukteswar, and again Swami Sri Yukteswar very gently suggests that maybe you wouldn't like that experience. And for God knows why, when he asked, he warmly welcomes Yogananda, but the moment he asks that, can I take your house help to Kashmir, there is an earthquake like reaction from him, jumped up from the chairs, papers flying all over, and said like, how dare you ask me of it's selfish of you to ask such a thing from me. And confused, Yogananda comes back, and then he realizes that he is not yet tuning into his guru's will. And even then he thought, because all the other friends are ready now, they have packed the bags and they are ready to leave, and that's the time a little hesitation. Yogananda is little hesitant, and even now Swami Sri Yukteswarji is not saying do not go. He did not say do not go before the tickets, after the tickets, or during the process of Yogananda's search for a help to take along the trip. He just says, why don't you stay with me a little longer? And Yogananda says yes, and he just sat silently for half an hour with his guru. And after half an hour, Yukteswarji says, give Mukunda some food, he has to leave for his train. And when he gets up, he experiences a severe pain in his stomach, and then he knew that it was cholera. Now, the third time, had Yogananda not listened to his guru and already left for the train, he would not be there with his guru to get that help. And Yukteswarji says, see, this is why I have been postponing this trip. How will I be able to help you if you are not near me? But never did he ever say, do not go, it is time for you to fall ill, it is better you stay here. It would have been very simple, very straightforward, and Yogananda would have listened. And all the great ones have always given a suggestive guidance to everybody. They never they don't impose their wishes, they don't impose their ideas on others. And I often think how Swami Kriyananda operated and served, and I always get to hear we always hear stories from those who served with Swami Kriyananda, and Keshava once shared a story. So this was the time when he was already committed in a project. At the same time, there was an offer for him to move into Ananda community also. So there was two different roads he could take. So he wrote to Swami Kriyananda and asked, what should I do? Swami Kriyananda again did not say, come to Ananda. Rather, he helped Keshava ask certain questions about how the project is going to help him. It's good to be loyal to the people whom you committed, but are they loyal to you? And a series of questions where he could arrive at his own to a conclusion that Ananda is my life, and he guided the will. He did not impose. So this is how God communicates with us. Unfortunately, God's whisper always drowns within us, because there is so many sound or noise inside our head caused by rowdy sensation and personal ambitions. What is the way out? And Paramhansa Yogananda has given a prayer about it, which I will share. He says that always pray to God as Father, as Mother, because a parent is not only inviting, they take an extra few steps to see to that their kid is safe, right? A mom or a dad will never say that here are your medicines. If you take that, your disease or whatever is ailing you will be cured. Now choice is up to you. They won't do that. They will see to that, force feed you with that pill and see to that you're, healthy. That's what a parent does. So we want God to do that to us too, to force feed us that pill so that the disease called ignorance goes away. And I'll share this prayer with you again from the book Whispers from Eternity. This is Yogananda praying as child, as a God's own child. So he addresses God as Father, and the prayer demand is, we demand of thee as thy children. Thou art our Father. We are made in your image. We are your children. We neither ask nor pray as beggars, but demand from you as your children the gifts of wisdom, salvation, health, happiness, and eternal joy. Whether naughty or good, we are still your children, all of us. Help us to perceive and understand inwardly your will for us. Teach us the independent use of our human will, since you gave it to us to use freely. And help us to attune our human will to thy wisdom-guided will. So we can pray, we can demand to God as his children and ask him to help us to attune our will to his will and play the role he has sent us here to play. And let's not keep God waiting. Thank you.
When I heard this topic, truth invites, it never commands, the first thought that came to my mind was how Autobiography of a Yogi appear in our lives. When we do an opening circle in the first class of Raja Yoga, we often hear people how everyone meets the autobiography of a yogi. Some people say, I knew that the book was on the bookshelf in my house for many, many years, but I never picked it up until this year. Or someone would say, my relative gifted me when I was a student, but I never read it until recently. I also remember my experience vaguely. I think it was about a year before I actually held the book in my hand. I was in a bookstore just browsing the spirituality section, and I think I've seen Master's face. But then my eyes didn't stop, just went on, and I ended up picking up other books and left. Now that I think about it, he must have been just signaling, here I am. But I didn't pick that signal. It is said that to a spiritual seeker, God sends spiritual books first, and then he sends spiritual teachers. And then finally, when God sees that this person is sincerely wanting to know God, to know truth, then he sends a guru, a Satguru. God and Guru are always, inviting us, signaling us that this way, but we don't notice. And they wait for many, many years, probably many incarnations until we get ready. There was a disciple of Yoganandaji in the United States. He was a movie star and a singer in Hollywood. He came to Yoganandaji wanting to know Kriya Yoga, and said to Master Yoganandaji, I used to go to church when I was growing up, and all I heard was, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that. But now I want to know, what shall I do? And Master replies, do you enjoy smoking? And he was smoking, so yes. You may continue, Master says. Do you enjoy alcohol? Yes. You may continue. Do you enjoy the company of beautiful women? He's like, ooh, but yes, answering honestly. And Master says, you may continue, smiling. And he continues, but I must tell you, if you begin practicing these teachings and Kriya Yoga, your desire for all those things will fall away. So the Guru, he didn't force him, this actor or movie star, to change his way of living, but simply invited him to practice these true teachings. And if we think about it, truth is truth. It has that power. It doesn't need convincing. It doesn't need selling. If we practice, we experience that power. Master also said that God has everything in the universe except for our love. And that love has to be offered through our own free will. And some of you might follow Ananda Worldwide on YouTube, and you might have watched this beautiful storytelling by Murli from Ananda Seattle. He recently narrated the story of young Krishna and his friend Sudama. And I will not go into the detail. You please watch that beautiful narration, because even if you know the story, it's still very enjoyable. But I want to just highlight a few points from that story. As you might know, Krishna and Sudama are best friends in the ashram when they were studying. Sudama is from a poor family, poor Brahmin family. And one day he gets the news that his father is ill. So he decides to go home. And Krishna says, don't go, because I can tell that your father will be fine. So stay here, finish the study, and I will take care of you after that. I will find you a job, and you will get out of the poverty karma that you are going through. Take my help. And yet Sudama says, no, this is my karma. If I have to suffer, then I have to suffer. I will go through. And then he left. Krishna, even though he didn't agree with his decision, Sudama's decision, he said, I will not force you. Years passed. Krishna becomes a king. Sudama is in extreme poverty with his wife and children. And they're struggling. And finally, his wife urges him to go to Krishna and get help. And Sudama agrees. And as he approaches to Krishna's palace, Krishna sees Sudama and says, come out. He comes out and welcomes him, that I've been waiting for you for years. He's so, he was overjoyed. And that is how God is, this Heavenly Father, Divine Mother. They're waiting us, the children, to come back to them, whatever mistakes that we might have made in the past. And the story continues, And Krishna is determined that he wants to help Sudama to get out of this poverty karma this time, for sure. But Sudama has to offer something to Krishna, to ask for the help. And he hesitates, doesn't happen straightforward. But then finally, Sudama doesn't have anything except for a handful of poha. And Krishna finds it, and that takes care of it. So what happened was, when Sudama went home, he found that his, hut has turned into a beautiful mansion and the garden, and his families are happy. Then Sudama realizes what mistakes he has made. That I should have asked for help many, many years ago. All I needed to do was to offer myself, and God doesn't even need a fancy offering. He needs our heart. And that also happens to us too. We struggle with our own problems, and we think that, okay, we have to figure this out. Let me figure this out. We think that we are the one who is suffering, and we are the one who has to solve. But if you might have heard that, it is said the spiritual path is 25% self-effort, 25% Guru's effort on our behalf, and 50% is God's grace. So by saying that, no, I'll take care of it, let me first work on it, we are only looking at that 25%. The rest, we are ignoring that the rest of the 75%. So let us, keep reminding ourselves that the help, God is right here, Guru is right here, ready to help us, but he doesn't force us. We need to choose that we want their help, and open ourselves to their grace.